Welcome back. It is a Friday when we look at social media trends. What's been topping the trending list for the week? We speak to independent journalist Ayanda Sishi Wigzell. Great to have you with us in studio, as always, on a Friday for your fans. Let's start with the matric results. So, some saying, well, how's our quality of education? But it seemed to be a lot of good news yesterday. Was that reflecting on social media platforms?
Good evening to you, Francis, and good evening to all of the SABC viewers. Yes, social media was congratulating the class of 2022 because they really went through so much to get these wonderful matric results that we are seeing right now. There's an 80% pass rate overall nationally, and the Minister of Education, Angie Motshekga, did praise them for the fact that they worked really hard and being resilient, actually, underneath load shedding, COVID-19 lockdowns that have happened. These children really worked hard to make sure that they get the results that they did. What was surprising to many people was that the rural provinces, KZN, Eastern Cape, really shined this year with the results that they produced from the 2022 class, in spite of the fact that there were climate change disasters that were happening in the form of floods, there were school closures, and the infrastructure damage that has been continuing to happen, and the lack of infrastructure, rather, in schools, especially in the Eastern Cape and in KZN and in the other poor provinces. But yet we've seen an increase in the results, and people are actually praising these children while actually pointing out the fact that children shouldn't be resilient when it comes to getting these results, because the infrastructure in the schools should actually help children to get these results instead of hampering them from getting the results that they are getting. So well done to the children. Absolutely, the class of 2022 worked really hard, but they didn't have to be as resilient as they were because of the political decisions that were taken by the Department of Education.
A good point. Why do we need these hurdles and then to say, well done, you got over all those incredible hurdles? The good news seems to be across the quintiles, or from the poorest of the poor schools to the richest of the rich. There was an improvement, and I saw some of the tweets there talking about personal experiences, and did you see some of those uplifting stories coming through? I did
see some of those uplifting stories coming through, but that just speaks to my further point, to my previous point as well, that children shouldn't study under harsh circumstances. Every child should have a home, a room, and a light and electricity so that they can study, have a full belly in their stomachs so that they can go to school. So some of these stories were really heartbreaking, and it brought to the question, what is government actually doing to protect our young people? We saw last week the list of universities and the amount of spaces that they actually have versus the amount of people that have applied for university. So we see that young people are trying to change the circumstances that they live under, but because of our government and the bad decision making that has actually brought young people to the situation that we find ourselves in, the high unemployment rates, especially amongst black young people. What does the future for the class of 2022 actually look like? So they have done their job, they've passed matric, but now it is up to the hands of government to make sure that these kids are protected.
And you're right, that's the next discussion. Where to from here? All right, the next social media trend, Davos. This is an interesting global debate that I think is heating up. Just tell me what you notice. People are still talking about the fact that Davos is for the rich. It's for the 1% of the people who are living well on this earth, but the rest of the 99% have to beg, borrow, and steal to make sure that we live well. The cost of living is rising across the board right now, and South Africa is also reeling from the inflation rates that we've seen because of the rise in inflation that has happened in the United States and how that affects poor countries here on the African continent. But what was also interesting was that social media users pointed out the interview that Naledi Pandor gave earlier this week on Morning Live, speaking about how she was comparing South Africa to the United Kingdom. So we know that in the United Kingdom there is a teacher strike that is coming up right now. The nurses are also striking as well. So she's saying that there are problems that exist there, but the only difference is that the social protections that exist in the United Kingdom are far more than the social protections that are here in this country, and people in this country are actually suffering more so than over there
there because there are certain things that just don't work here that actually hamper our lives, which sometimes can actually lead to death. So saying that the country is not necessarily failing is actually a fallacy on her part, because she is not dealing or reeling from the effects that come from again, bad decision making that comes from the government. So the decision to not build more power stations in 1997 has led us to what we see now in 2023. And was she not part of the government, also Gwede Mantashe as well, and the rest of the people who have gone to Davos, Ibrahim Patel, who have now been selling South Africa and saying that, load shedding is going to be finished in 8 to 12 months, as what the Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana said. But we know the reality of the country here, and we know that is an absolute lie. So what exactly is it are they selling to Davos here in South Africa? Who is going to invest in this country if the decisions that are made by those who are leading us have left us in this hole that we are currently in right now?
So that's the South African angle. I saw Elon Musk also saying Davos is setting itself up as a parallel government, and it's always interesting to me that Davos is spoken about as the rich 1%, because the discussions there are always about inequality, about spreading the wealth. But I guess nothing changes. That's the point. Nothing is giving.
Nothing is going to change, especially if the same people are going there. Especially people like Elon Musk really shouldn't actually butt into that conversation, because it doesn't have anything to do with him. He is part of the 1%.
Well, he gets into every conversation, and he's the richest man in the world.
That's true, he is.
Or he was. But yeah, that 1% has gotten even richer. Okay, coming back home, because we're running out of time, Zuma versus Ramaphosa. So that's, of course, about the step-aside rule as well. It's got political implications. How did it play out?
People on social media really were trying to figure out where it is that Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, fits in to this private prosecution that the former president Jacob Zuma has actually launched against him. But more so, people are really tired. They are frustrated. There are so many things that South Africans are dealing with right now, and they're trying to figure out, where does this case actually feature when it comes to the ordinary South African? How will it change their life? And when they figure out that it's actually got nothing really to do with them, people weren't necessarily talking about the case, other than the fact that, there are rich people who can actually afford to buy the justice, be able to afford to privately prosecute people. They are the ones who are able to get to justice. But there was another news story that was trending that came from the SABC, where 2 old people were actually asking and begging the police minister to please enact justice for their daughter who was stabbed, 4 years ago, and still to this day there is no justice. And that was really heartbreaking and really resonated with the people on social media, because on the same day was the Zuma versus Ramaphosa trial and the court case. And honestly, people were saying that this is what we need to be talking about, the fact that justice does not come to those who do not have the money to be able to get a lawyer, to be able to go and ask the police or actually sue the police for lack of investigation, for lack of justice when it comes to the death of this young woman. So it was very much split, because people were saying, yes, this is newsworthy, but at the same time, there are so many other crises that are happening in this country. We have load shedding, NERSA, ESCOM. There's so many things that are going on right now. Why is this a feature? Why is this newsworthy? Why do we need to know about what is happening right now? The step-aside rule has got nothing to do with ordinary citizens of this country. We are dealing with the high cost of living. We are dealing with the fact that food is so expensive, and the food basket price is actually increasing as we speak right now. These are the problems that we are dealing with in this country.
And the high courts are once again consumed with a political issue.
Exactly.
What a juxtaposition when there are so many real issues that are not even getting to the courts. All right, let's end with ESCOM energy, the power price increase. You said people are tired. Do they even have the energy to still continue fuming on social media about what's going on?
It really is heartbreaking when you read the stories on social media. I've been reading stories about people who have polycystic fibrosis, who need to have oxygen in order for their lungs to work, in order for them to breathe. I'm reading about stories about people who are on who are on dialysis because they have kidney failure. These people need to have dialysis every other day, and now they can't have that dialysis even in hospitals, because hospitals are being load shed from up to 4 or sometimes even 8 hours in a hospital. How are they to even get this dialysis if they can't get it at home or in the hospital? There are so many other stories that I can tell you, Francis, about people who are just suffering. There are villages. I saw Eastern Cape was trending because there are people who are amplifying and saying that people in our village do not have electricity, and now they have had to resort to either throwing away their food and then collating together in order for them to actually buy food so that they can, that they can and can live and can eat and have full bellies at nighttime when they go to sleep. This is a problem. We know that last year the class of 2022 had to write examinations and amidst rolling blackouts, and it's going to be the same this year. Nothing is going to change, and this is why people were infuriated when Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana went and said at Davos that load shedding is going to be a thing of the past in 8 to 12 months, because this was said by our president in 2015. He said that load shedding is going to be a thing of the past in 8 to 12 months, and that was not the case right now. People are extremely frustrated. They want to know what the plan is going to be for energy, and right now we are not seeing a plan coming from government. What we are seeing, though, is a lot of grandstanding that is coming from political organizations wanting to take advantage of the situation in order to position themselves in a place of power when it comes to the elections.
All right, I think you've said it all. In fact, the people have said it all on social media, and that is what you're reflecting. Thank you very much, and you can catch her with us on a Friday. Independent journalist Ayanda Sishi Wigzell looking at social media trends.